Good morning, everyone. I know I normally come on Thursday, and today it's Wednesday, so I probably totally surprised you because you're expecting me tomorrow. However, I kept being told I was supposed to do this live today instead of tomorrow, so I'm on today. Surprise. Happy winter solstice, by the way. I have been celebrating winter solstice my whole life, so it's a really special day for me. And I grew up celebrating winter solstice much like people celebrate Christmas. So it's a very, very special day. My mother always celebrated winter solstice. And we would have always open presents and everything, gifts on winter solstice. And we would have a um, big celebration, all these different special foods and everything. And we would decorate the trees outside for the animals and string popcorn and cranberries and all these different things for the animals on the tree. And there was always all these cool different things that went along with winter solstice that and some of them I still do with my children, and some of them I don't have the ability, I don't even know how to recreate, which I wish I did. And I'm starting to adapt more and more of those things too. But that's not what I came on today to tell you guys about. I it came up and I wanted to tell you because I love winter solstice and summer solstice. And I also celebrate the equinoxes as well. But I was really pushed to talk about my why. And I guess the reason why is because it's been really prevalent for me for several years now, but I have not had the strength to tell you because my throat chakra was probably one of the last chakras for me to become in alignment with. It was really it took a lot of energy for me to align my throat chakra. So for many years, it was much easier for me to do posts or write things than to actually come on and talk live. And so there's a lot of times when it takes a lot of energy to do that. So going back to my why, what gives me that energy every day? What sparks me? The reason, and everyone should have a why, I believe, because when you have a really strong why, it motivates you to to get up when you're having difficulties, when you're really feeling uh, like you aren't sure what if you really truly do want to go on. And my biggest whys are my children. My children are my heart. My children are what keep me going day after day. And I don't even think they realize how much they they motivate me. Two of my children are out of the home and are adults now, but they still motivate me on a minute by minute, day by day basis. My younger child is still in the home and she motivates me tremendously, but my older two motivate me just as much. And I have to go back to my childhood as to why they motivate me so much. When I was growing up, I grew up with a lot of trauma in my childhood, and I didn't understand that there was so much trauma at the time until I got older. My mother and my father did the best they could. Well, my father really wasn't there. He was an absentee father. I don't know if it was because he chose to be or not, but both my parents had me when they were teenagers because they were looking for something to love. And were coming from a childhood that was very dysfunctional, both of them themselves. So when I started my healing, as I grew up, I realized, wow, there's a lot of craziness in my family. And I was constantly absorbing all of this stuff over and over. And then by the time I was in grade school, I was starting to, well, it wasn't even that, probably even before grade. I mean, I was always having mishaps where I was getting sick or I was getting hurt. There was always something. And then as I got older and older, I was constantly getting sick. And I was going constantly to traditional medicine, and it wasn't working. Most of the people on my mom's side of the family um, are in traditional medicine. And so that was my mindset, to go to doctors and nurses and pharmacists for assistance. And for over 20 years, um, that wasn't getting to the root of my problem. And so I kept working more and more, and it was just kind of festering. So when I finally got to the point where I was, either gonna figure it out or I was gonna die, because I got really, really, really sick around 2016, 2017. That's when I realized I have to do something different. And it was my children that made me decide to do something different, because in 2009 I'd already lost my father passed away at age 51, and his father passed away um, when I was a very small girl. And my father had, I was starting to notice a pattern. The people in my people were losing their parents before the children were even adults. And this was starting to become really alarming to me, because thank you, because I was noticing, wow, this is something we have to change, because I wanted to be there for my children. And I was noticing that I was not able to be there as much as I wanted to be for my children, because I was always sick. And this was playing or having an effect on the relationship I had with my children, on the relationship I had with other members of my family. And I noticed that, a lot of the people in my family were sick, and that's the way they were getting their attention, is through their illness and not through any other way. And this was starting to become really alarming to me. So, and I guess it was while I was extremely ill and in the hospital. I was in ICU off and on for about 6 weeks. And it was some of the things that they said to me, like, wow, you've had this many surgeries for this age, or you're on this many medications. Because at that time I was on over 20 medications. Some of those things. And I started to really pay attention to those, with some of the things they were saying. And I was in so much pain, but I still couldn't block out what they were saying. And so I started to think about all that stuff. And well, here my father had already passed away. And I realized I have to make a dramatic change. Something has to change. So that's when I started to look at other alternatives. And when I opened up that door, it was like a whole new, it was avenue, it opened up. And as I started exploring it, I started realizing that we had, in every uh aspect of my family, there was a lot of generational um healing to be done. And I wasn't going, if I was going to pass something down to my children, I didn't want to pass down more, more of that gunk. I was ready to pass down something better. And I noticed that, there was a lot of stuff that needed to be cleared before I left. You know, and I was noticing that this wasn't good. So I started really looking at myself and what I needed to heal for my children, so they when I left this earth, they would have an easier time. And so I spent probably a couple years just kind of looking at or and analyzing and finding alternatives. And that was, I can't really say that was the dark night of my soul, but that was an aspect of it, because I did a lot of different um I spent a lot of time by myself during that time, and really siphoned through how I was looking at things, and kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things during that period of time. And it was during that time that I started doing Reiki, and started, using different oils, changing my cleaning habits to healthier ones. There was all kinds of different changes I did during those. It was like a 2-year period, and before I became an actual Reiki practitioner, because I realized my why was giving my children a better future. And so that's just kind of compounded. Um, Now it's not just my children, it's everyone I touch, but most definitely, yes, my children. Um, every single day, if I can do something to make this day better for them, most definitely, that is my ultimate why. But by doing it for them, I know that I'm doing it for everyone, because we are all one. So ultimately, as that why grew, it grew into everyone. It wasn't just, because how can I uh, bring this into fruition and not create a better future for my the children that my children are interacting with, you know? It's for everyone. It's so that was is now my why, because at first it was just my children, but now I see it as all children. It's for our future, it's for everyone's future, because that's what it's all about. So I guess that's my why now. At first it was always about my children, but now I see it as is a is a universal children, because um because when we come together, um our heart is all combined. It's just such a beautiful, when I go, as I've um elevated with my mission, I guess. So I guess that is my why, is to because this is a forever journey for me. I'm always seeing things that I can heal in myself. I'm not perfect. And so as I find things to heal in myself, I know that I can also access new avenues of health and healing and love for my family. And so that's where I hold space for others to do the same. So, with so much love and wonderful wishes for this beautiful season, I give you so much love, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week for the holiday, or for the New Year's pull. So, I'll see you guys next week.